Hello, everyone. I don't know how many of you remember me. You should all remember me. I'm coming to you from Groton in the new studio we're in right now. This is mainly for the new London County, Waterford, and whatever counties out there that get the Breezeline that used to be in Waterford. That studio has closed down. There's talk of maybe having another one if they can find the right spot. So this is a new show for me. I haven't done one in a long time. I'm trying to change it a little bit. I might have some guests here and there. I'm going to try to get guests. This show will cover everything, whether it's music, not sports so much, because I don't know crap about sports. Never cared about sports. But, you want to call up and voice you something about the Super Bowl game or whatever the hell it was on, call up, yak away. And if you can see this live and you can call in at this time, somebody please call me so I know that there's still people out there that can actually see who they're talking to live. This is going to be on YouTube. It will probably go on YouTube tonight. All the shows will. This is going to be in every Wednesday, 6 to 7 o'clock. Anything's up for talk, anything. It doesn't matter what it is. We'll talk about everything and anything. You can call the show at 860-445-7499, which I'm sure it's on the screen. And like I said, this is Talk with Dennis Downing. I like to be called Dennis from New London. When I first moved back to New London, that's the name I picked up the first time I ever called one of these shows, when Kathleen Mitchell was on. And I forget who else. And that was around the time when they were taking all the houses out of Fort Trumbull. That was when the big thing there was going on. So with that said, I'll be doing some things that I think are important as far as most of this stuff is going to be either national or it's going to be about New London and the surrounding counties. Things have been moving, to jump right into this, things have been moving fast. I can't even keep up with the stuff that's happening right now. And I watch a lot of different newses. I watch CNN, I watch MSNBC. I'm going to tell you right now, Fox I think is about the most honest station you can have on TV. And I know a lot of you don't agree because a lot of you are a bunch of sore losers. But hey, I guess I was a sore loser when you put old Biden in the White House. But we'll get to all that in due time. First thing I want to do is... the other day, I'm driving down Ocean Avenue, and the school bus is in front of me, and it stops, and everybody stops, and I'm sitting there and watching the guys, look like high school kids getting off the bus, and every one of them had their face in their phone. Now, that's not uncommon nowadays. I mean, I see kids, maybe 4, at the supermarket in the carriage on some kind of electronic device. They have no idea what it is to be a kid anymore. Those days are gone for them. Maybe depending on where you live in the country, they might not be. For the most part, they're gone. But what got my attention was this girl come walking where she got off the bus. She walked to the back of the bus. Now, you got to understand, the bus is stopped, but we know how some crazy drivers are. They just try to get past it, whether it's stopped or not. Well, this girl comes walking off, and she turns to walk behind the bus and go across the street. Not once did she take her face out of that phone. If you had some crazy guy or woman even, because there's some crazy women out there, if you had somebody coming down that wasn't going to stop, that poor girl would be all over the road. The schools are going to do something to let these kids know that they're putting their life in danger. You parents out there that are in such a hurry to give your little kid a phone, or the high school kids with phones, you got to talk to them. Because, I wouldn't want to hear you crying if your kid got hurt and you never told them about this and they never paid any attention to you. It's your job as a parent to let these kids know there's a time and a place for a phone, not constantly. Now, I know some schools in the part of the country are going to have the kids put their phones in certain boxes when they come to school, and then they'll get them at the end of the day. I'd be really curious to what you folks think about that. I think it's a good idea. I think it's, you know, it makes them concentrate on what they're doing in the classroom instead of trying to sneak what's going on the phone. They're not learning anything this way. They're watching stuff that is really bad for some kids to be watching. I found out recently, which I didn't know, that there's ways you can stop your children from accessing certain things on the phone, which is good. But, you know, you see a lot of crazy stuff going on. And a lot of it is coming from, you know, mainly TikTok and other stuff on the phone. So the main concern is I want the schools to pass something out that the kids have to take home with them to get their parents to sign that they read it and try to convince these kids to watch what the hell they're doing. Now, along that line, a lot of young people, and older people, but mostly the young people with their hoodies, all dressed in black, walking around at night. You can't always see that well at night. You don't know what, you know, you got your, somebody's coming towards you with their new, real shiny headlights that blind you. You don't know what's on the other side of you when you're driving down the road. I mean, anybody could walk out in front of you, and you're not going to see them until you hit them. Why don't you, just to have a longer life, kids, wear something reflective. Make it cool. How about you rappers out there, huh? Wear something reflective. Make it cool, because the kids listen to you guys. Why, I have no idea, but they do. So that they can be seen at night when they're walking. It just, and when they walk across the street, they don't stop, and they think that they have the right of way everywhere. So let's put that myth to bed. You don't have, well, maybe now, but before, the only place that you were safe was in a crosswalk, as safe as you can be. But just because you walk between two cars onto the road doesn't mean you have the right of way. You don't. And it's not going to be the driver's fault. It's going to be your fault. So, something to keep in mind. All right, let's see. Oh, so if you went by my house, as you can tell, I'm a Trumper. I was a Trumper from the day you walked down the escalator. I was a Trumper with him because he's a businessman. He's not a professional politician, although he's becoming quite the politician. But, you know, I saw in him what I thought he could do for the country as a whole. Not certain groups, but the whole country. Now, if you're part of the country that don't want to take his advice or think he's bad, or you don't want to listen to him and you want to fight him and get everybody else to fight him, well, then he's not your man. But he is out there trying to make the whole country better, whether you want to believe it or not. And stop being big freaking crybabies about it. You know, you made me put up with 4 years of freaking Biden and giggles. I didn't like that. But, hey, all I could do was wait till he got out of office or if he dropped, one or the other. And it was a big embarrassment to this country. We'll get into more of that, too, down the line. So, before the election, I had my Trump flag out front on my house. Well, of course, somebody stole it. First time around, the last election, they did the same thing. They stole my flag. Now, I guess that must have made you really friggin' special. I mean, you must have been like the king of your neighborhood or your buddies or whatever. Like, wow, man, I stole this guy's Trump flag. Whoa, yeah, hey. Who gives a shit? I just went and got another one, all right? But now I bring it in at night. So after the election, I decided I'm going to keep flying that flag for the next 4 years, every single day. You put me through shit with Biden for 4 years and giggles and all the other idiots that run in the government and the Democratic Party. Well, then you're going to look at that flag every day for the next 4 years. And when Vance takes over, which I think he will, I'll be flying another flag with him on it. So paybacks can be a bitch. You don't like it, don't drive down my road. Okay. Now, I want to run through some things here that I don't know how many people are going to see this, but like I said, it will be on YouTube, I think tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so things are flying. You folks in Waterford, I've brought this up to a few people, and they all tell me it can't be done. And and I'm talking about Seaside State Park. Okay, I guess there's a lawsuit against the state. Somebody wants to go in there and put in condos and all that, and then eventually you won't be able to get down there. But rather than make it another park, which doesn't do anything, it does some stuff for some people, but there's plenty of places, especially in Waterford. Waterford's got some nice parks. Waterford is a really nice little town to live in. And if I wasn't so friggin' old, I'd probably move there. But I kind of like the challenges of New London too. But, so they want to take Seaside and turn it into a park. Why? I mean, there's no parking there to speak of, so they're gonna have to build a parking lot. They're gonna have to take down all these buildings, which they claim are deteriorated to the point of they can't be used anymore for anything. I don't know about that. I know when people want something, they'll find ways to make it so that what they're telling you is the truth and everything else you're hearing from, not from them is a lie, and that's not true. I say take Seaside and refurbish it. It used to be, I guess, some kind of hospital for, I forget the disease now. Sometimes I kind of forget things. But I worked there as a volunteer when I was 14 and 15 through the state. And it was quite the place. It was really weird and strange. But, so my idea for this place is a simple one. We have a lot of young men and women that are overseas in the military. We have policemen, we have firemen, anybody that's in that kind of line of work, they should turn Seaside into some kind of rehabilitation center for vets, police, firemen. When they get hurt or when they come back without their limbs or their memory or whatever, when they're hurt, this is where they should go. Can you imagine what it would be like for someone recuperating from losing their leg in a war or something like that? And when they go to sit outside, they're seeing the ocean, and it's got to play really good on their minds. Wouldn't you think? I would think so. It's not in a VA hospital or something in the middle of a city. I know it's easier for people maybe to get there, but this would be a long stay thing. This ain't gonna be like for a week and then they're gone. If they're lucky, that would be nice, but I don't think it's what's gonna happen. And everybody I talk to about this, not gonna work. No, it's not gonna work. You know how much it would cost to tear that down? You know, hey, look at all the friggin' money Biden's given to the Ukraine and every other goddamn country out there, but yet we can't take that money, some of that money, and make it a place for people, for young people or older people that are hurt defending this country so people out there can do the stupid shit that they do. And why not? It would be a beautiful thing. It would give Waterford, there'd be a special little town. We don't need more parks. We don't. I mean, we have, I don't know how many parks we have in New London, maybe 6, 7. And they're not taken care of that well, if at all. And you get people that go there once in a while, so there's more than enough parks. You get the local government, or I don't know who else. For instance, Riverside Park. I was with the folks that were fighting to save that when the city of New London wanted to sell it to the Coast Guard, and we won. We won that battle. But now it just doesn't look good, because there's all this political crap that's involved in there. They got a committee that runs it, supposedly, but they changed the whole layout of the place. And I think it's affected Riverside. But anyways, that's my idea. So if you're listening to this, whether it's now or tonight or whenever, if you should happen to catch this show, think about what I said about Seaside. I think it would be great. I think it would be a good step, and we have a president now that might even consider this, but I don't know how to get an idea like this to him. All right. So a lot of things get asked. Big thing now was Trump and Vegas saying that he's going to do away with taxes on tips. Now, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And unless you've worked a job where your tips are very important to you, you have no idea what this is all about. You know, you just think, oh, I shouldn't have to tip. And even though some of the food is pricey, you should still tip. Because what they get paid compared to, you know, the $15 an hour stuff, I don't think that's happening in restaurants or places like that. $15 an hour isn't in every state. Every state sets their own. I don't know what Connecticut's at now, to be honest with you, because I'm retired and I don't work. But I tip, you should tip somebody on the service you get and how good the food is. And you can't blame people serving you if the food isn't right, because they're not cooking it. They're just taking care of you. They're waiting on you. All you're doing is sitting there stuffing your face. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say stuff. You're just sitting there eating, and these people are doing all the work. But the chef is the one that's in charge of whether the food's going to taste good. And I wonder, do chefs even get tips? I don't know. Anyways, if you get good service, tip properly. And don't let them try to tell you how much to tip. That's your own personal thing. I tip kind of generously because I've worked a job where tips were my everyday cash. And it helped me when I needed something. I always had some cash in my drawer. I wasn't making a lot by the hour. I had no benefits, none of that crap. So tips were nice. So when you tip, the only reason you should tip is if you feel that the person that was serving you deserves the tip. And if you can be generous, because not all of us can be generous, there's different levels of generousness. Generous, is that even a word? That can afford more than others. You know, you read about these waitresses or waiters that would say, oh, you're only giving me $5? This ain't 1885. Hey, don't get flipped with me, now you get nothing. Maybe that's all the person can afford to give you is $5. And if that's the case, then that $5 could probably be used for some milk for the kids, but they're tipping you. Be grateful. Say thank you. All right. Let's see. I was sitting back before I started this show. I was supposed to start last week, but I kind of got a little under the weather, and I couldn't make it. But now I'm trying to get organized. Things will be changing constantly here. I have ideas of what I want this show to look like. So, let's see. Let me go to... Oh, I just read a thing on the phone where Trump is going to send illegal immigrants to Gitmo, up to 30,000 of illegal immigrants. And these are probably going to be bad-ass criminal people that, you know, you get, these countries send us these people. They encourage them, and they come here, and it's good for that country because now that's that many less people they got to try to help support. But they're coming here illegally, so we're trying to send them back. So this is a little story. You probably heard it on the news. I want to give you a little idea. Now, they sent back a lot of people to Colombia. They got them on the plane. These are the worst of the worst. They got them on the plane, and halfway there, after the government in Colombia said they would accept them back, told them, no, we're not going to accept them. We're not going to allow your planes to land in Colombia. Well, obviously they don't know Trump. Trump turned around and told them, if you don't let us land these planes or bring these people back to your country, everything you send us is going to have a 25% increase in tariffs. Tariffs is another whole story. We'll talk about tariffs as time goes on. And if you don't do it after 25%, a week later, if you still haven't accepted these people, it's going to be 50% tariff. Well, you know, they called back the president of Colombia and said, I think we can work this out, and now everything's cool. This is the kind of president you want. This is the kind where he can go into another country and say, hey, no, this ain't working. It's not working for America. And get changes done. All right. So much for Trump right now, because I know right now I ain't going to get any feedback yet. I want you to call me once we get this all settled down here. And argue with me if that's what you want to do. Call me names if that's what you want to do. Open your mind up when you call me. You might even change my mind on something. And hopefully I can change your mind on some things. So moving right along at a fast pace. There's so many reasons why this has become such a #1 issue. Just look at what's happening. Just look at, I mean, there was something about an illegal man in the subways that grabbed this woman and set her on fire with a lighter. Of course, she didn't make it. And what happened? Biden pardoned him. Now, that doesn't mean he's out on the street. It just means instead of a life sentence, he'll be in the regular prison. He won't be on death row. But he should be on death row. Actually, the way I believe is if he killed that woman like that, do the same to him. Lay him down somewhere, light him on fire. Next time somebody's thinking about lighting somebody on fire, they're going to think, well, if I get caught, they're going to light me on fire. There's no fear in this country anymore. There's no fear. When I was a kid, there was lots of things to fear. There's a lot of things you didn't do because you knew either you were going to get in trouble or worse than that, you were going to go home and your parents were going to tear into you. That was the biggest fear for kids, their parents. Now the parents, some of them are so, I don't know what the word is for it, but they, stupid stuff like you got people on TV saying, you should ask your baby if it's all right to change his diaper. Are you friggin' kidding me? Ask your baby. See, this is the kind of stuff we don't need to be hearing about because this is just plain stupid, idiotic, woke stuff is what it is. Ask your baby if you can change his diaper. How's he going to answer you? Maybe he'll pee on you, and that will be his yes, and shit on you, and that will be his no. I don't know. All right, so some of the other things I'm going to be bringing up in the future is more about woke, more about transgenders. I want to get some people in there to talk with. I want to get some people from religion. I have a lot of questions about religion. Abortion's a very big deal. I would like to get somebody that's pro-life and someone that's against, and someone that's pro-abortion. I'd like to get two people on here, one from each side, and have a debate. I'll be bringing you stuff from the council, city council. Abatements. Oh, jeez. If somebody's listening to this from the city of New London, I've asked a question on Facebook and nobody wants to answer me, but I had heard a rumor that if you've been down Bank Street and you've seen that new building they put downtown, right downtown, prefab apartment complex with an abatement. Now, I'm hearing it's a 20-year abatement. So how is that helping me with my taxes? I'll be dead in 20 years. It is not helping anybody. And the way they're going through putting up apartments in New London is there's not going to be any more free land. There's not going to be no open land anymore. So everybody's kind of making fun of or thinking it's stupid for Trump calling to buy Greenland. And it says after I in Canada and Panama Canal. Canada, I don't think that's going to happen. Although the people in Canada would probably like it to happen because they got rid of that other idiot they had. But Greenland, think about this. If we can buy Greenland from Denmark, it's in such a location that it would bring especially Russia under control because we'd be way close to them. The minerals and the ores that are underneath the snow and stuff in Greenland is unbelievable. There's so much stuff there. There's probably tons of oil there too. And if we put a military base there, we have more ways to protect Europe and that whole area. I don't think Russia would ever do what they did if we had bases on Greenland. Every time you do something to better America, there's possible risks. But you got to do what's best. This thing of giving countries tons and tons of money because this last administration didn't like Russia, I guess. And Russia invaded Ukraine because they knew the president we had at that time was weak. And they knew that, after he did the Afghanistan thing where he pulled everything and everybody out, got people killed, they knew they had it easy. China knew it had it easy, but it's not going to be that way anymore. But I really honestly think that we should buy Greenland. We should. And we should take back the Panama Canal. We lost, I think it's something like over 30,000 people building that canal. I can't even imagine what it cost. It was probably up there. But if you compare it to what it was worth when it was built to now, whole different stories. To do it now, it costs easily 10 times more money. But Jimmy Carter, when he was president, why, I got to do some more research on this, but why in God's name did he give Panama the canal? He gave him the canal with the stipulation that we would get a deal. He gave it to the Panama government that we would get a deal for our ships to go through, which is common. There's all kinds of ships going through. And the fact that we gave it to him, that should have made it so that we never have to pay to go through the canal. But now we do, and more than other countries. And the reason for that, one of the reasons, is because Russia is now, no, not Russia, China is now running the canal. So, you broke the deal. You broke the deal. So now we need to go back and take the Panama Canal back. That's so important, that little canal. Well, it's really not little, but that cuts down so much time in getting people from one ocean to the other. And in the case of emergency, we ever go to war with anybody or have to defend ourselves, and we have to take our ships all the way down around South America, we're done. So yes, take the canal back and buy Greenland. So folks, if you're hearing this, write down what you might want to ask me. And the number again is 860-445-7499. Call me up and tell me what you think. Hey, if you think I don't know what I'm talking about, tell me. And then I'll tell you you don't know what you're talking about. All right. You got a lot of people. We have so much freedom in this country. Everybody. I remember one time when I was a little kid, this old guy says to me, he goes, too much freedom is not a good thing. Of course, I didn't agree with him. But sometimes it can be, a little bit. I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. All right, so everybody's all upset right now because about Trump pardoning the January 6 people. He should have. And the grandmas that were in front of an abortion clinic. They need to be released too. Now, when you compare that to what Biden did, he basically pardoned everybody that's a freaking criminal. Every one of them. They've committed some kind of crime, and the ones in administration got pardons, like his family and the J6 committee and whoever else. They're criminals because they're raping us. They were raping us all along. His whole administration was a big rape case, and we were the ones that were getting raped. They were taking our money without any say and just doing whatever the hell they wanted with it. Now, why? I'll let that go for a minute. All right, so one of the people that got pardoned by Biden was a man that, I can't find it right now, but he killed, I think it was like an 8-year-old boy, and raped him, killed him, and he was from Connecticut. This happened in Connecticut. And Biden pardoned him. How do you do that? Why? Was he mad because he lost the election, or he got kicked out by his own party, so he was going to screw everybody? How do you sleep at night? How's he sleep? Well, he probably doesn't remember sleeping at night, but man, that was the story about the woman who got set on fire. See, it's in the media, okay? See, I'm rambling now because I got nobody that's keeping me settled in one subject. No. Anyway. All righty. If you can't get a doctor's appointment, you might want to try contacting this woman in New London who was arrested for doing medical procedures in her home from, I don't know where the hell she was, Spanish or Hispanic, but she was, I don't know what country she was from. She was here, I think, illegally. But you know, the people coming in here, this is another thing I don't understand. They come in here, they want to get away from where they were at. But when they get here, they're trying to make this country, in their own little section, like it was where they came from. You know, you want to come to this country, if you're going to do it illegally, at least show that you really love the country, that you want to be part of the country, you want to protect this country, you want to fight for this country. If you can't do that kind of stuff and you're illegal, then why are you even here? Is it for all the benefits that the Biden administration and the Dems in power were going to give you? They were only doing that because they want to get your vote as soon as they figure out a way that all you folks, and I'm talking millions of people here, I'm not talking about a couple hundred, that all you folks are going to be able to become citizens without ever having to do anything. First of all, that's not fair to the people that had to do something to become a citizen. And the people who are still waiting to become a citizen, they're here illegal, but they're still waiting. I can't believe how long it takes for them to become a citizen. It's ridiculous. I know one guy told me when I was working that it took him over 10 years to become a citizen, a full-blown citizen, to take the test and the whole 9 yards. That's got to change too. Okay. So Montville police charged a man with sexual assault of a girl. He was 23. The girl was 12. This happened on Route 85 on May 2nd. I'm not going to say his name. You can find that out. He was charged with risk of injury to a minor, first-degree sexual assault. He was being held in a $525,000 bond at Corrigan, and is scheduled to appear in New London Superior Court such and such a date. Oh, AI is going to be another big subject, folks, because I am not a computer person. I am not an AI person. I mean, it does have its place, but not to the point of where you're not going to know if the person sitting next to you is a robot or a person. I'll tell you what, you go back and watch Terminator movies, and you know what I'm talking about. There was a story out some time back where they were using AI or robots in some factory, and the robots were trained to take care of if something broke on one of them, that they could fix themselves, or another robot could fix them. And then they started, the robots, this is a story now, I don't know how true it is, I remember reading it, that then they started communicating between themselves, the robots. Now, if you watch the Terminator movies, that's pretty much started that whole thing. The AIs got to a point where their object was to protect humans, and they realized that they had to protect themselves also. And then you had what you had in Terminator. AIs and robots, I don't know. I just don't think it should be as big. I mean, when you use it for medical equipment, if you want to call that AI, or there's just a whole robot thing. I had a story here somewhere where they have a robotic dog, police dog, that his handler, which I don't know why he would have a handler if he's a robot, but anyways, took bullets for the cop that was with him. He protected the cop. Well, now that's cool, and I could go with that for that kind of purpose. But if you have a robotic dog, say you think you have one as a pet, and its wiring system goes haywire and ends up biting somebody, who's going to get sued? The homeowner or the people that are building the AI? That's one side of the coin. So I'm asking you folks out there today, and hopefully some of you can call me next week, what would you do with this man from Montville that risk of injury to minor and that sexually assaulted a 12-year-old girl? What would you do with him? Now remember, you have people out there that will do everything they can to make this, tell you this guy ain't right and he needs help and all that. No, you know what will help stop a lot of it? Is when they read how someone that did something like this, say maybe got castrated. Automatic castration. Now, you might say that's not going to stop it, but I think people that do this, if they ain't got something to use when they do it, there's really no sense in doing any harm. But if people were going to go, you might find some other people that are rapists or that do this kind of thing and say, well, wait a minute, geez, if I do that, they're going to cut it off. Maybe it would help, but I have no love lost for people like this. So tell me what you think, folks. And it's kind of the same way I feel about overdoses. There's no fear in doing drugs anymore. It's not advertised. You don't see anything on TV or on Facebook or on TikTok that's telling you or showing you the results of doing certain drugs. Basically what you're doing is you're playing with death. We all know that, okay? So one way to get young people especially, not the ones that are already addicts, talking about ones that are thinking about trying it for the first time, if they know that if they overdose, they're not going to be saved, might make them think a little bit longer about doing that. I don't understand and I don't agree with using I don't know what the hell this stuff is called, knock-on, to save a person that overdoses. If it's an accidental overdose of some legal medication, that's one thing, don't get me wrong. But when it's illegal drugs, fentanyl, stuff like that, when you take it, you could die. We shouldn't do anything special. These people that say, well, you can't do that, that's inhumane, or you have to save a life. You can't let the person just die like that. Well, then we can go back to abortion again if you want. Let's discuss it like that, because I can do that. All right, so I guess nobody... So here was something that came out not that long ago, and this is for Connecticut, for all you folks. It says, what would you like state legislators to focus on? Do you ever stop and think of what they're focusing on? It's supposed to be a part-time job for representatives and stuff like that in Hartford. But they work more than that. And I don't know if they deserve more money or not, but really it's, I don't know. But what I would like to see is anybody, in this case for me, it's Nolan and it's, what the hell is her name there, the nurse? Martha Marks. Oh, since she became a representative, I don't think anyone had seen her in New London except for when it's time to vote. And it's pretty much Nolan's getting a tiny bit better with showing up. A tiny bit, not a lot, just a tiny bit. You should do more. They should all be required to at least once a month. I would like to see once a month. If all I could get was once every quarter of the year, I'd be happy with that too, I guess. But I want it every month. One day where they come back to the people they represented, have an open town hall meeting, and let people know what's going on up in Hartford. What are they working on? Good or bad? What are the Republicans working on? What are the Democrats working on? And be able to tell them what you expect them to be doing for you, because it isn't happening now. Oh, Okay, well, I guess I did make it through the show. But there's a lot more. There's a whole lot more. I got paperwork up the yin-yang. I try to stay on it from all sides. And one of the biggest problems, and I know I'm almost done with time here, but the biggest problem is the media. You've got to be able to read between the lines, and for God's sakes, folks, use the common sense that God gave you. Read between the lines. Think of what's best for the whole country, not your little corner. I mean, just because it might help your little corner and it screws everybody else in the country, that's not a good thing. That's not what it's all about. It's got to, this stuff has got to be to help the whole country and protect our backs. And I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. So I will see you next week. Hopefully I'll have a little more chatter from the outside. And like I said, just give me a call. Go on YouTube, check it out. Leave me a comment on YouTube. If I see it, I'll try to write it down and get back to you, and I'll mention it next show. This wasn't so bad, right? You still got your dinner down, right? I was very gentle, and well, I don't know what other word to use, but you may see another side of me in some of these conversations, because I do have strong opinions. I want to hear other people's strong opinions, and we'll take it from there. I want to also do some music things on the show. I was doing that a lot. This is where that sign came from. These are all people, a lot of musicians that were on my show that signed this board. I'd like to get some musicians in here to talk with and also have them play. I know Grandma does it a lot, but I want to do it live. I want you to be able to talk to the musicians. And with that, I'm pretty much going to say good night, and I'll see you, some of you next week. It was fun, and it's only just the beginning. Remember, it took Biden 4 years to 4 years to screw the country up. Don't expect Trump to fix it in one day. He's moving fast.